Hey everyone, welcome to Real Mob Stories with James Proctor. And I'm here today again with my good friend and former partner, Lee Cole. How are you doing?
Good. I'm glad that you asked me to come back for to do this for the month. It's because a lot of interesting things have happened in your genre, not mine.
Yeah, I know. It's been, we were going to do this for, at the end of April, and we had so much other stuff going on, and so I just thought that we ought to go ahead and talk about some of the stuff going on in the genre because it's definitely been a busy month. So I appreciate you coming on, by the way.
Well, I appreciate you asking me, and I like to say to you, this whole thing that happened with Jeff Nadeau, we're not
Hmm.
going to bash nobody here. We're not going to bash Jeff Nadeau. But one thing I noticed about that, you got a very large response
Hmm.
between your community page and between what was written, and the show you did. I mean, you got close to like 10,000 responses. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, James, see, this is the problem that people, you're respected. Maybe I'm not respected, but you're respected. Okay. And people
Okay.
should, before they worry about other people's shows, especially when you're making things up, this all seems to have happened once you had the Michael Francis interview. It seemed
Right.
like some people were like a little bit bugged out about that, and instead of just admitting that's what it is, they tried to create it and they questioned your integrity. Am I right there?
Yeah, yeah, and so that's really that's more of what I was upset about. I don't mind criticism that comes with the territory. Man, you've had criticism, and
And many times I've earned that criticism, but you did not earn your criticism.
no, in this case, I didn't earn it because I had an interview with Michael Francis. Then I had people, um, content creators, going after that, and I felt that, and I understand, as far as Michael goes. I mean, we know he cooperated a lot of that stuff. We know that, and I felt that I asked the questions that were needed to be asked about that, and he answered my, and I felt that. It went well. But
Yeah.
then I brought on Frank DiMatteo, and then brought on this kid Nick Romano. And so what happens is that basically I'm getting criticized over the three interviews that I did, and it's kind of what I didn't like as well is more backhanded. So it's one of these things. Well, I
Yeah.
like James, but why does he have this on? That's a
Yes.
backhanded type
And let
thing
me tell
that
you something, Frank Di Matteo.
yeah,
I interviewed him 3, 4 times
yeah.
in the last couple years. Frank Mateo has a great site.
Hmm.
He's from the streets, and he has a great story, and he's a great author. And
Yeah,
for anybody to go after him and question him, they should question themselves first. I
right.
would say, does Mateo have anything on Twitter that calls him a scammer?
Hmm.
You can go on and on and on. If you want to go after me, go after me. But going after Mateo after he comes on here, he's been good with people, and to call him a fraud when you don't know shit about him, you don't, uh, he seems like a well liked guy. He's been around guys in the life. We've seen how many pictures of him with guys in the life. Just go on
Oh,
his
yeah.
channel and all sorts of people in the life.
Yes.
And then for people to, one individual to call him a fraud, shame on you. That
Hmm.
man is more of a man than what you're saying to him. For you to question him like that, shame on you. That guy comes on here, he gives interviews to everybody, he treats people good, he's respectful, he's decent. So um, speak what you know, not what you think. And this all goes back to Michael Francis,
Right.
because you're pissed because you couldn't get Michael Francis. And listen, I'm not mentioning no names here, but just because you couldn't get Michael Francis, don't attack James and then attack Frank.
Yeah.
And then you attack the third person, who the other guy you had on, who was that?
Yeah. That was Nick Romano, and
Then Nick Romano. So it's like
yeah.
it's like a, and then I seen Nick Romano on here lately doing interviews with people, getting along with people. And Nick never said that he was in the life. Nick said he was around the life. He grew up on the streets.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he left at a certain when he was young.
Hmm.
He's a New York boy. It's
Yeah.
normal. Most of those neighborhood boys, all of them new people. You walk outside your door, you see a guy drive by in a fancy car,
Yeah.
or give you a few bucks to go do something, or you
Yeah.
go commit some crimes. So before people attack people, they should make sure that it's for a good reason and not because you're just pissed because
Yeah.
someone's doing something you're not doing.
Yeah.
And
I
that's just and that's just the way I feel about that. I'm not going to even get into it. I've been very laid back. I stayed out of it,
yeah.
but I think you handled it great,
Thank
and
you.
you proved how many people really respect you, James, by the stuff you put out. And when you put up that video, that was not an attack video. You did
No.
not never attack nobody. You just said your
Yeah.
facts. Me, I'm different. I would have done an attack video.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. No. And I'm with you on that. I just wanted to I just whenever you things like this happen, it's more of an attack on integrity, and so that's where I had more of the issue because, like I said, and we won't beat a dead horse, but I'm totally with these guys that go after the frauds. We got too many frauds out there, and I'll be the first to get on board with people that want to go after them. But
right.
in this case, these weren't the right people to be calling out as frauds.
And before this happened, you were being texted by this person saying, "Oh, this
Mhm.
guy's a fraud and this guy's a fraud." How dare you call Mateo a fraud? I
Yeah.
mean, really? Come on. Some of the guys that he's had on couldn't shine Mateo's shoes.
Yeah.
Okay, and so whatever he thinks about that, it really needs to stop because uh, next time, I will get a hold of you, James, and we will do a video if we want to
Right.
compare. If we want to compare James to somebody else, and we'll talk the
Right.
fact, including your numbers, James. Your numbers are as good as anybody's. Anybody's on here, and we know
Yeah.
that you average 30,000 views a day.
Yeah.
And whether then people will say, "Oh, but it's by shorts." Those shorts you put out, James, people love them because they give history. You put
Right.
out guys that these other that I'm sure this other guy doesn't even know unless he researches them.
Right.
Uh, so I mean, that's what. Just look at the shorts you do: three a day, and
Yeah.
people love them. And your numbers are going up with your long form too.
Yeah.
So what else do you have to do? So
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. And I appreciate, folks giving me a chance and, being part of the show. I enjoy the community and interacting with people. And it's, that's something I'm appreciative of. And so, yeah, I mean, the numbers are the numbers. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so, I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to, say anything. Just look at the numbers.
and
That
you
tells
know
a
what it
story.
is. You know what it is, James. The Nick thing don't bother me. Nick can defend himself. He's
Yeah.
here.
Hmm.
But when you go after an older man like Frank, who's written really good books on Galanti and
Yeah.
all sorts of people, the guy's done a lot in the mob
Yeah.
genre. He's done most than most people here.
Right.
He had a very successful mob website, Mob Candy,
Hmm.
is it called?
Yeah. Mob candy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what bothers me when you have the balls to go after somebody like that that's done so much more in this genre than you have. And you're going to go after him after he's been here. He's been doing this for 20, 30 years. He had magazines. So this is why the Frank thing bothers me more than anything. And Frank's been on here and has given us uh, uh, over the years, always get good numbers for Frank
Yes.
because people like him.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and that's true. And the other thing, Lee, is that Frank will not interact. What I mean is, he's not going to get into a pissing match with any content creator. He's a true gentleman, and so I'm sure he's aware of what was said, but he's not going to even bring it up. And so I mean that just shows the gentleman he is, and again, his books, his career, everything he has, his photos, that speaks volumes. That
He
tells,
has one of the best photos. He has one of the best amount of photos I've ever seen anybody have.
yeah,
If you go to Mob Candy, you will see the most incredible photos that you will never see anyplace else.
yeah, exactly.
And you don't just get these photos by accident.
Right.
Not when you got thousands of them.
Hmm.
Thousands he has
Yeah.
of all these people.
Yeah.
That's what gets me. It's like he was around. He's one of the originators of not this genre, of the mob genre in general. Doesn't have to
Yeah.
be on YouTube. He's one of the originators of it, and
Right.
he deserves his respect. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you, and I appreciate your support, Lee, on this, and Angel, Jeff Canarsie, and others that have, had my back with this situation.
Because we know who you are, James. We know you as a human being. We know you as a person. You have made me calm down and stop being such a prick. You have stopped, I've got on a more level path,
Yeah.
and uh, people know you. They know who you are and what you have done and who you are behind the scenes, what you do at home in your
Right.
personal life. You don't deserve to be attacked by somebody because they're upset what you're doing and they want to
Right.
pretend you do not exist. They want to
Right.
pretend your numbers don't exist.
Hmm.
You can't pretend.
Hmm.
James is here as much as anybody in this genre, and
Yeah.
and that's all I got to say on that.
No, I appreciate it, and then this week, going on to another subject. Do you want to talk about Joey Merlino and the fire that occurred this week?
I think that it's only going to help Joey Merlino
Hmm.
because, but the bad part is anytime you get the feds involved, and now the first person the feds are going to suspect is Joey Merlino.
Yeah.
So they're going to want to go over everything and make sure it's not anything that he had to do. They want to make sure they didn't see Stiggs
Yeah.
Stiggs running from the scene.
Yeah.
Stiggs, that's a joke.
Yeah.
Okay, so but the fact of the matter is that it's just more popularity for him. Yeah, well, if it's Joey Merlino involved, the feds are going to show up because they
Yeah.
have a hard on for him.
Yeah.
The police are showing up, then they got the ATF showing up, and I'm sure it's something that Joey doesn't want to. He doesn't want these people around because right
No.
away they're going to think that did something wrong, and they're dying for Joey to do something wrong.
Yeah.
These are the feds. I mean, he's beating them over and over again, and the feds
Right.
don't like to be beaten. So
Yeah.
that's bringing that kind of who knows who it was or what it was, but I doubt very much it's anybody sending a warning for another family because they would just put a Molotov cocktail through the window. End of
Hmm.
story. There would be no
Yeah.
games. There wouldn't
Yeah.
be no leaving none laying around.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. The investigation will come up with something and have their opinion because that's what
Yeah.
those fire inspectors are really good at what they do.
Yeah, they are, and now you've got cameras on every corner, and so it was at 2 a.m. in the morning. There was someone saw a fire, smoke. It was very limited damage, my understanding, and what's interesting to me about this, Lee, is two things. One, I did a poll on the community page, just asking who our viewers thought was responsible for this. So I thought that it would be something like, I put a loner, like just some crazy guy, a homeless guy or whatever that might have
A
done it.
homeless guy that
And
just happened to be walking around with some multi
yeah.
bottles. Yeah, he said,
Yeah.
"I'm homeless. Let me walk over here with these bottles and put them down in front of Joey Merlino's place."
Yeah, then I said, then I put kids. It could have been just a group of kids pulling a
Which I
prank,
doubt
and
very
then
much.
right, and
Okay.
then and then I even put Tony Pizza as a joke.
No, wait. Now we're talking. Now we're getting to some serious room. If you say the wrong thing, James, you can have one in Georgia at your house. So,
Yeah.
you look right downstairs, you can be a multi cocktail there. Just don't piss Tony Pizza off. That's the general rule here in
Hmm.
YouTube.
Well, he was in third place, and so I don't know, like 12%. But what most people And I got about 1,000. It wasn't a lot of people, but it was, 1,000 people since yesterday. And so
Right.
what they think it was like 40% think it's an inside job, and then something like, I don't know, 30% think it's someone that's got a beef with Joey personally that did it.
Well,
And
listen, nobody should say anything until they see the inspection done by believe me, the inspector will come out with what their opinion is. But
yeah.
then you got to hope that the feds don't try to set somebody up too, because that's what they do.
Hmm.
And we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll
and I think right now they've got it. It's more of a state case, but
I'll
also
guarantee
because
you
of,
the feds are in on it. I'll
yeah,
guarantee
because of the
they're watching.
Molotov cocktail, they're going to
Not only
get
that,
the
it's
feds.
because it's Joey Merlino's place.
Yeah.
The feds are definitely involved in it. They may not
Yes.
come out and say they're not involved, but there's someone at the, some fed sitting somewhere talking back and forth to the state. Of course, it's going to be the state fire inspector that comes up with the conclusion of what they think it is.
Hmm. Yeah, and with me on a Molotov cocktail, the thing is the way it was done. It didn't seem very organized. It wasn't very professional, in my opinion.
See that? But that's how we know it's not Tony Pizza. Tony Pizza would have just walked down there and put that thing right to the window.
Yeah.
And him and they were. Was there anything? Did they say they seen a dog running with a man
Yeah, I haven't heard that yet, so
while the
we'll
man was
see.
beating the dog as they were running?
Oh God. Oh my gosh. What? But
Don't
what's
you
interesting?
dare edit that out.
I'm not going to edit it out.
Okay.
But you know what? I do want to say that what's interesting to me, because I watched some of the stories coming out of Philly, Fox 5 and
Yeah.
all that stuff, and man, he's getting publicity on this, because what they're saying is they're mentioning Joey Merlino's name. They're mentioning the name of this upcoming restaurant, which is Skinny Joey's cheesesteaks, and then they're actually mentioning his podcast. That he's now got the Skinny with Joey Merlino podcast, and he's getting a lot of free advertising off of this.
Hey, hey, listen, all publicity is good unless it leads to bad things.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. And so
yeah,
I'm sure that he's doing it correctly. Listen, I doubt very much it was an inside job.
yeah.
Because if it was an inside job and they did it that way, that means whoever the inside person is semi the R word. Um,
Hmm.
it doesn't take much. Okay, just say that it was an inside job. I would say I would just go down there and pretend it was somebody from New York that did it, but just by throwing it through the front window. Boom, that easy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That makes it look like someone from New York did it.
Yeah,
They have the hard on for him. Who knows? It's a very strange, very weird situation when you think about it, because
yeah,
it didn't explode, and they
right.
found more than they found some devices there, multi cocktails.
Mm,
And like, we don't know if the door was unlocked. We don't know if the glass was. We don't know anything. So people
right,
shouldn't be really talking on this. I mean, making a decision of who did it or how it was done until they
right.
hear the details. So it'd be interesting to hear what the state inspectors have to say.
Yeah, and the other thing is that a lot of people don't they don't understand how a lot of this works on the business side, and I don't want to go down that path too much, but you have investors that do this stuff, and they're using Joey's name. Joey obviously would have ownership, but it's his name that is bringing the value to this, and so he may not have even put money into it. Who knows? But he's a partner. But the point is that this wouldn't be. I just don't see Joey wanting to do this as an insurance scam.
Yes, and I don't
Because
see Joey wanting this publicity right now. Why would he want publicity?
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
publicity is good sometimes, but when you
Yeah,
have the feds involved in the publicity, you don't want that publicity.
yeah,
You just don't.
yep,
Uh,
exactly.
so it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see. I think that we'll just have to wait and see. And It could be
Y-
the weirdest answer ever. It could be like next thing you know, you could see Tony Pizza doing his show, and all of a sudden, him getting pulled off in front of the camera.
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay,
know, but
Joey's gonna be like, "Who the hell's Tony Pizza?"
yeah, exactly. Um,
Okay,
okay. So, do you want to talk? I was thinking about,
it's your show. You go where you
all
want.
right, Sammy Gravano. So, Lee, that we talked about this a little bit about the documentary. So he did a documentary yesterday on the Frank Fiala situation. For those that haven't seen it or don't know about it, I know Sammy has talked about it a few times, but Sammy owned a place called the Plaza Suites along with other partners, with a couple of the crime families. And anyway, there was a guy named Frank Fiala that ended up wanting to buy the place. And, you know, Sammy's always talked about there was a party that for a birthday party that happened, a lot of weird stuff went on there. But basically, the relationship between this Frank Fiala and Sammy deteriorated very bad. And so what ended up happening was Frank ends up, he's a Czechoslovakian gangster, apparently, drug guy, did, you know, who knows? But, uh, yeah, I don't know much about him except what Sammy said. But the point is that you got this guy, and he's taken out, he's killed, and Sammy was supposed to sell the Plaza Suites to the guy. I believe he got $350,000 of the million that was supposed to be, and they take the guy out. It was outside. It was outside the Plaza Suites,
After
and
he
so
claimed the
anyway,
guy threatened him, and
yeah,
okay, once again, this is a thing that this is a story that Sammy has created, and we know that someone did die there. That was in the
hmm,
newspaper and stuff.
yeah,
And was Sammy involved in that? Sammy says he was involved. He gave it to
hmm,
the FBI. That was part of his 302s.
hmm,
But the fact of the matter is, once again, it's a Sammy story,
yeah.
and we don't have anybody that can. James, can you explain to people why there's nobody that can actually say that this happened besides Sammy?
Yeah, because the people involved in it, the principals on the side of Sammy was you had Mike the Bat at the door.
And what?
Um,
Okay, Mike DeBattador. What happened to him?
he was killed by Sammy.
Okay, and
Uh,
who else?
then you had Louis Melito that
And what
was
happened to him?
supposedly, yeah, Sammy took him out in '88. He was the guy that supposedly killed Fiala, shot him in the head 3 times. Actually, shot him in the head once, and then the bullet happened
No,
to go in
yeah,
each eye for
it
the
just
other two.
happened.
Yeah,
No, that sounds far fetched too.
and
And
then the other guy is in jail. Huck was
Huck,
upstairs.
was
Yep.
Nicky Cowboy there?
Nicky Cowboy was there as well. He was a
What
driver.
happened to Nicky Cowboy?
Yeah, Sammy took him out
Okay, and
and had
Sammy
him
drove
taken out.
behind him when he was taken out,
Right.
and gleefully talked to how happy he seen when he was. So basically, the guys that were in on that hit with him, what
Hmm.
was that were ordered by Sammy, are all dead.
Yeah.
Well, three of them. Okay,
Hmm.
and they were all three of them killed. The main killers,
Hmm.
all at the all at the orders of Sammy Gotti. Sammy went to Gotti and wanted to kill a couple of them and said that they
Hmm.
were being subversive, whatever. So it's kind of ironic that he's telling a story with the three men that's involved with him, was his
Right.
friends, and he wind up having all three of them murdered.
Right.
So who can tell this story? This is why Sammy changes history. We don't know whether Sammy's telling. He can be telling the truth on the story. It's
Right.
obvious that something happened there,
Right.
but the guys that were involved with that were murdered on the orders of Sammy Gravano, or Sammy Gravano getting the orders from John Gotti to murder them.
Right.
Uh, once again, it can be just like Stark Steakhouse. The
Hmm.
story we get is from Sammy's mouth, and it's Sammy telling the story. And I'll tell you what, though, the amount of views on that for Sammy Gravano is not very impressive. It's like at 30,000, 40,000. There
Mm.
was a time Sammy could do stuff like that and get 500,000 views in one day.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that it seems like with the lives and stuff that it's just not as focused as before. And so, when he was doing the scripted stuff, I mean, with James Carroll, I mean,
I like when he
he,
does stuff like this with the Fiat. I
Mhm.
like when he does that. Then that's sitting in that studio, having give me $5 and I'll pull your name out of a hat,
Right, right,
and maybe you'll win a chicken dinner. Uh,
yeah,
that's kind of degrading.
yeah.
Uh, but James, let me ask you a question. Don't you find it odd that the three people involved in that murder were all murdered by him?
Yeah, yeah, that I find that ironic, odd, and then also the other thing is the sit down. There's a sit down that occurred afterwards, like about 3 weeks after this hit, because it was an unsanctioned hit. And so I found interesting was that Sammy never got permission from Tato, his capo. Tato was the capo. At this point, Sammy was just a soldier, and no one went to Paul Castellano, the boss. And so what ended up happening was that this was an unsanctioned hit. Apparently, Paul was not happy about what happened. He wouldn't see Sammy for 19 days, and then you have a sit down where again it's Sammy and Louis Melito going in
And
to
just so we
see Paul
know, it's
Castellano and Tommy Bellotti.
and 5 years before that, the same
Mhm.
scenario with Alan Kaiser, an
Right.
unsanctioned hit. Molito's involved with it with him, and they have to
Hmm.
go sit down.
Right.
So here we are. They're back 5 years later. So
Yeah.
Paul's got to be pissed. He's like, oh my god, this guy's back again. It
Yeah.
makes you wonder why this guy was not whacked. Why
Yeah.
did they let Sammy live after doing another 5 years later doing another unsanctioned hit?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it sounded like it was pretty, and I've read I will give you this that for the most part, the accounts that were in the book Underboss, also in the 302s and in his podcast have been uh, pretty similar. I think it's been pretty consistent, but of course, this is the only one alive, Sammy, to tell the story, and so that's all we really have on this. But
And Huck
and
and Huck,
Huck,
but
Huck,
Huck's not a rat. Huck's in prison.
right?
Uh,
He's not. And then the
he's
other
not
one
a
is a
rat.
woman. I have no idea who the woman is
I
that
don't.
hugged him.
I
You know,
Sammy loves to put women in his stories that are hugging him.
yeah,
And she couldn't. She said she looked at him and said, "Oh, there. Oh, I'll save you." You know something? When you listen to every story Sammy says, somebody wants to hug him. I mean,
yeah,
when he was taking what's his name to kill him out in the van. What's that guy's name from Philadelphia?
yeah. That was the guy. Oh, yeah, yeah. The Johnny Keys.
They fell in love in the van too. They were in
Yeah,
love, and
right.
so uh, uh, everybody loved Sammy. That should be the name of his show. Everybody loved Sammy. The girl seen him, wanted to love
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Then he tells a story about when he was in hiding in Boulder. Some girl there
Hmm.
fell in love with him. Uh,
Yeah,
he has a lot of love story. Oh, and let's not forget Big Ange. Big Ange loved him
yeah,
too.
yeah.
And they had a
That's
big
one of my best shorts as far as views is the Big
Big
Ange one.
Ange.
I
Yeah.
can't believe that, but I did as a joke. But
I was in a bar and I bumped into Big Ange.
Oh, Big Angel.
It just got made, and I'm 5 foot nothing, and so this woman comes up to me. She's much taller than me, and she says, "You know what my fantasy is?" I have no idea. I said, no, "What's your fantasy?" "No, I don't know." She says, "Banging a small wise guy." So I looked at her. I said, "I don't think they make them any smaller than me, but I mean, whatever you want to do, it's up to you." So I go, and the next day, everybody's grabbed me. "Sammy, what you do? You want one Ange?" "Yeah." "You know who that is?" "I don't have a clue." It's Sally Dawes' niece. Oh my God, May guy's niece and everything. So I said, I'm in trouble, but I really didn't know. So I go to see Sally Dawes, and I said, Sally, I did something maybe I should have never done. What? I went with somebody, I think somebody in your family. He said, Big Ange? I said, yeah. And he said, "Don't neighbor, fuck that. Don't worry about it." So I got away with that.
you know, The other thing that was interesting, Lee, I don't know your thoughts on this, but I always found it curious about the relationship of Louis Melito and Sammy, because Louis is the one that really helped Sammy to get out of the trouble he was at with the Colombo family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he knew Louis Riso, and he knew Tato, and was able to get Sammy out of that situation with the Colombos, and he's with the Gambinos. And then so what Sammy mentioned after, and this is 1982, so we're fast forwarding to the Fala thing, and so this is when the relationship, according to Sammy, deteriorated between Sammy and Louis Melito. And Louis Melito started doing business stuff with Tommy Bellotti. And so one of the things that a lot of people may not realize is that when Paul Castellano was taken out, that in '85, that Louis Melito was in prison. And so he wasn't involved at all in the hit. And then so he gets out of prison, and I guess what it sounds like is that Louis Melito, Sammy didn't like the allegiance that Louis had with Tommy Bellotti.
With Bellotti. Yep. Well, that's Sammy.
And Bellotti, and what happened was Louis did not want to be around. What Louis was upset about was that he felt that Sammy was, unhinged. Basically, he's like a cowboy out there.
And he was.
Yeah.
And people, all I would say to people is think about it. Just think to yourself, the people in the Fiala hit, all were killed under orders of Sammy, or Sammy asking for the orders to kill them.
Right.
And they were all friends of his, and they grew up with him, and they were murdered. So it sounds like to me he was trying to get rid of 3 witnesses to a murder.
Yeah, and Melito also was involved, the thing with Alan Kaiser. And so he's had a couple of bad unsanctioned things happening that their relationship never recovered.
I believe that Sammy had them killed because they were future witnesses against him, and people were started flipping. And those guys could have put him away from murder, but those guys were more men than him because they weren't rats.
Right.
He had gunned them down. He claimed that one of them was going to become a rat. Nicky Cowboy, I believe. He claimed that he thought he was going to become a rat, and in reality, who became the rat, James?
Yeah, Sammy's the one that ended up.
Yeah, the man that killed him. The man that killed him. Okay. Anything else, my man?
No, I mean we went on for about 32 minutes, and so let's talk about your. I did want to talk about Wrestling with the Devil. A lot of people are asking what you're doing. You're very popular still in the chats, and I'm sorry, in the comments, and so people are always asking.
As long as I'm hated and liked, that's all that matters. I don't care one way or another, as long as you're thinking about me.
Yeah.
That's the difference between me and most people. If you want to hate me, hate on me.
Well, you're doing a lot of stuff on Wrestling with the Devil. I mean, there's some stuff that's really going to be big in the next few months, but right now, you're starting to do the regular lives. I mean, that's a lot of fun. There's a lot of
and building it up. And listen, I'm starting with 80, 90 in the lives, and people say to me, I say, I'm used to the big lives, like when I was doing 200-300. But people say I'm in the wrestling genre where wrestlers are famous do lives and can't pull that. So and I get long, and they stay a long time. We have a great time, and building the channel right now is it's fun. I'm having fun doing that. But I appreciate you having me here, James.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is that, especially with some of the stuff that has been going on in the genre, I was thinking, man, I kind of miss you in this because you're always good about responding to this stuff.
Well, the Frank DiMatteo, is that how you say his name?
DiMatteo, however you want to say it.
So the Frank DiMatteo thing bothered me, that somebody would, especially that he's done so much in the mob genre over the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And he created the mob genre called Mob Candy. That was
Yep.
like a mob genre in itself. It was very popular. His magazine was very popular for a while until magazines became no longer needed.
Right.
But that's it. That's just
Yeah.
it. That's all I got to talk about, my man.
No, I really appreciate it. And so before we close, just ask for everyone to hit the like button, please.
And go to
Also, if you,
Wrestling with the Devil.
yes, go to
And we talk
Wrestling
about
with the
everything. We
Devil.
don't just talk about wrestling matches. We talk about corruption, murder. It's like gangsters in wrestling. That's what we just
Yes.
put gangsters and wrestlings together. Like tonight, I have a show. I'm doing a live, and we're talking about the curse of the Hart family and the curse of the Von Erichs. And
Yes.
we're going to talk about that family and all the tragedy both those families had. And they say that both families are cursed, and that's what we're
Yes.
going to talk about there.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely going to be there. And so yeah, everyone please go over there, subscribe, be part of the lives. It's it's a lot of fun. Not much, there's no it's a different type of audience. You
Yes.
don't have a lot of attacks and all that, but
Yep.
I enjoy it. Thank you, everyone. Hope everyone has a happy, a good Memorial Day weekend.
Likewise. Thank you for
Yeah.
all that served. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. And I always feel kind of awkward saying Happy Memorial Day because it's more of a remembrance of our veterans that
Yes.
paid the ultimate price. But I know that you have you have children that have been in the military, and so just want to say thank you to all of our veterans out there.
Take care, my man.
Take care. Thanks again, everyone.